Faced two so-called 100-year storms in a little over a decade. What role does climate change play in these catastrophic events? Declan McCabe is a biology professor at St. Michael's College. Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here. Happy to help.
Thank you so much. So massive flooding here, Declan, in the Northeast, wildfires out west and in Canada, record-breaking heat waves in the U.S., across the globe, really. Why such extremes?
Well, we've put too much carbon into the atmosphere. We've warmed the whole place up. We've got more moisture in the atmosphere, and it's a recipe for extreme events like this.
What can we do to mitigate climate change impacts, and are there things that we could do that we're not already doing here in Vermont?
At the local scale, we certainly each need to reduce our own carbon footprint. We need to consume less fuel. We need to put less carbon into the atmosphere. And we need to make choices in the marketplace that reflect those goals. And we need to certainly do our best to keep the change within limits that, within the best limits we could possibly achieve. There's continual warming going to happen, so we also have to simultaneously prepare for the warming that is coming our way.
Back to the devastation, the recent devastation here in Vermont. What damages are the flooding doing beyond the material damages obviously suffered by residents and businesses, like lost items? What other damages come about when we see this kind of flooding?
Well, in addition to the economic damage caused across the place, there are natural system damages as well. So we've got increased flooding in places where we wouldn't ordinarily have that flooding happening. And so we have ground nesting birds, for example, that'll be flooded out. And we have mammals and insects living in the floodplain that are forced uphill, or in many cases are simply drowned. Obviously, it's different than the scale of the human damage, and maybe not as many people are thinking about that, but we do have that effect happening, and it is caused by human carbon into the atmosphere.
Now, are these things that you have observed in the St. Michael's natural area over the past week as flooding happened?
Absolutely. We have a lot of ground nesting birds down in the floodplain. By this time of year, they should have completed their first nest and are probably working on their second nest. And so there are certainly disadvantages for those birds. There's also some interesting advantages happening, which I know most people are perhaps not thinking about, but the silt that gets deposited on the floodplain is actually accumulating phosphorus in the floodplain, and that phosphorus is therefore prevented from going to Lake Champlain, and simultaneously enriches the floodplain.
Declan McCabe, thank you very much. Stay well.
Happy to help.